What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the MCU Re-Viewed, our favorite new show here at the Geekiverse, and apparently one of your favorites in the community. We're so thankful that you're along for the ride on YouTube and wherever you stream your podcasts. Today, we're talking about a completely non-decisive, definitely everybody's on the same page movie about one Iron Man. Iron Man 3. How do you like this cover? I like this one a lot.
That's great.
It's got some
I like
nice...
that. I like that. That is amazing art.
Did you hear that? He said, I like that, talking about Iron Man 3. That is great. I'm Josiah Leroy. With me, my cohorts here, Mr. John Fick, fellow Iron Man admirer, and Rashawn Anderson.
Yeah.
Rashawn, if I'm not mistaken, your tone seems like you're not super stoked to be here today.
Listen, man, I was having a good day. You know, started work again today. We had the PS5 stuff. And then I had forgot Iron Man 3.
That's right.
Then, now I'm here.
And now you're here to talk about just a wonderful, pretty good, solid movie. Here we are. So Iron Man 3. I make a prediction right now. I think I kind of know where John stands. I definitely know where Rashawn stands, mostly. But here's the prediction. We will all have different ideas of specifically where it should rank on this list.
Okay.
I think that would be the first time, because I think at least two of us have always agreed specifically where something should be.
That's true.
But this would be the first one where I believe all three of us would have this different on our current list.
Oh, all right. I think I agree.
Stay tuned.
I do have to mention big development. We got a new beer glass for the MCU Reviewed.
You got it.
Oh my god.
Got it.
Look at that.
Dude, John and I have been getting John's been probably for a lot longer than me, but we've been getting the coolest beer glasses lately. John's got that.
Yeah.
We got some Animal Crossing, which was really cool. He picked up Baby Yoda for me. That one is really cool. It's got like 3 different images on it.
That's cool.
Yeah, we're having fun with it. We're here to talk though about the MCU. No Dell today, unfortunately, but the show, as always, is brought to you by our friends at Fantastic. Fantastic is a division of 26 Shirts. If you don't know them, go check them out. 26shirts.com/Fantastic. What do? They sell shirts to help people in need. They sell awesome geeky themed t-shirts, pop culture themed t-shirts on a week-to-week basis. Go check them out. Proceeds of every sale go to someone in need, a family in need, a charity, someone fighting an illness, whether that's physical or mental. Some of the best people you'll ever find. We are super honored to even know them, let alone call them our friends. So again, that's Fantastic, FANTEESTIC. Check them out. One of us is almost always wearing their merchandise. We're not on this episode, but odds are you'll see it in a future one. So let's get to the show here, guys. I cannot wait to dive in. I've got a lot of notes here, but we'll kind of stick with our usual itinerary. First, give me your first relatively concise thoughts on your feelings on the movie. John, why don't we start with you? We would have started off on a positive note. No offense, Rashawn.
I just love Iron Man 3. I don't get it. I don't understand where all of the hate comes from. Iron Man 3 is just more Iron Man, and it's not even like just a good movie. It's a great movie. It's a very, very good movie. Iron Man 3 is very good. Iron Man 3 is very good. Like, where
you heard it here, folks.
Where is the? I'm just trying to. I really do want to hear what you had to say, Rashawn, because I'm just trying to find the criticism. I've seen this movie a bunch of times. I don't know where this big flaw that makes this like a legitimate bad movie. And I know you're like joking around, but like a movie that would ruin somebody's day to have to watch. Man, I love this movie.
I've got ideas, but I'll tell you that I disagree with them. I want to hear what Rashawn has to say. I definitely want to hear his insight on this. John and I are in the minority on our feelings towards this movie. Most people would agree, I believe, with what we may hear from Rashawn. It's funny, every time I rewatch the MCU, I probably like it a little bit more.
Same, and 100%. And especially having that the completion of Tony's story, stuff like that. But like just understanding a little bit more about his character, even just from a couple of different films after that. Like I think it does so much for this film. I just don't know where it falls apart for people.
So, Rashawn, let's hear your thoughts on it. Give us your feelings on it without getting too ranty here, because we'll get to some other stuff. But tell us about it. Tell us, if you don't like it, by the way, no spoilers, why it falls short.
Yeah, so we've been waiting like 6 weeks for this, something like that. So my thing with Iron Man 3, okay, so here's the deal with this. Do I think it is, in comparison to like a bad movie, like just by movie standards, is it a bad movie? No. I would not say that. And when I get on Iron Man 3, I'm comparing it to the greatness and the excellence that the MCU has portrayed in pretty much, full force. The thing with Iron Man 3 is the first 30 to 40 minutes for me is actually really good, in my opinion. I like the movie up until Tony's house gets bombed. From that moment, everything up until the final battle is completely and utterly unnecessary, almost pointless, and just boring.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. I actually didn't this time, but I religiously fall asleep on Iron Man 3. Religiously. So some of the parts of watching this, I'm like, oh, that happened? I forgot about that. Because I religiously fall asleep. But this movie, man, again, the first 30 to 40 minutes, again, I'm enjoying it. I'm liking it. It takes a huge dip for me. Again, we're gonna get into specifics. And I think the final battle, once you get there, it doesn't even get good again. It gets tolerable for me. I don't like now some people may not call it this. I hate it, especially as a comic book fan, or OG comic book fan. I do not like the bait and switch with the Mandarin. That is garbage. I'm just going to say it. That is garbage.
Go, John.
I think the only time I can see somebody who would have that opinion and like understand why you'd have it is if you had a different expectation. So if you knew who the Mandarin was and you were a big Iron Man fan, you were excited for this villain, I guess I could see it. But for me, it's like it's the first time that's happened in the MCU. It's a cool twist. Like,
we about to watch the trailer. This is the trailer that I'm thinking of that I remember it being really good. It's like
here's where I go with this. So I think this is probably the most contended point or the most emphasized point when it comes to people not liking this movie. It always comes back. It feels like in my conversations to the Mandarin. I think, as well as John, didn't have really any preconceived notions about Mandarin going into this other than seeing the trailer. Really didn't know too much about him. When we got to that moment, honestly, first time seeing it in the theaters, I really enjoyed it, thought it was funny. And my thought was, okay, maybe after having seen that movie and going back and watching it, knowing what is about to happen, knowing that he really isn't anybody, I gotta say, I still feel the level of dread and intensity every time they interrupt with one of those broadcasts. And even though his character is nothing more than really an actor within a movie, I still think it's super intense and super well done.
Yeah, me
too.
And
that twist never falls short for me. Even though I know that it's coming, of course, it never falls short for me.
I agree.
I appreciate it all the more.
I actually agree with what you just said. Not necessarily with the twist. The twist pissed me off. But to your point about the character up until that point, and again, what we see in the trailer was great. Like, he started off, like Shane Black, he started off great. I guess he got drunk one night and just was like, oh, let me just write this in there and figure like that. That would have been that character that you're talking about would have been a much better villain than what we ended up getting with Guy Pearce.
So this sounds twofold, Rashawn. I like digging this out here. So you don't like Aldrich Killian in this portrayal. Plus, you don't like that Mandarin quickly became a joke. Essentially,
exactly. Well, I can't say both villains because again, the actor, what we thought was a Mandarin technically isn't the villain. But yes, the main villain with again with what's I don't even know his name.
Aldrich Killian.
Yes, him trash. And then again, the what we thought the actor what we thought we were going to get, I thought was good. The twist for that for me is I don't like.
Here's what I'll say to that. Even the first time watching this movie, I felt like the Mandarin's portrayal was so like bland and so straightforward, like the head of a terrorist organization, no color to it. I knew something was coming, and that's what kind of like made me enjoy it. I knew something was coming because it was just so bland. It was just so like, this guy just hates the U.S. and he's making terrorist videos. Why is this a comic book villain? What? All right, there's something more here. There's a reason they started this movie with Aldrich Killian in the elevator. That's gonna come back to this, and I know that. So like the twist like was still exciting for me. I didn't expect it to be that way, but I never expected the Mandarin in his trailer form, in the quips we got. I never expected that to be the main battle. I didn't expect Tony Stark to go up against the Mandarin. I knew something was up. It was just I thought it was painted crystal clear that something was going to be up.
I never saw that coming.
Well, real quick, and a thing I do like about the movie, Rashawn likes something about Iron Man 3, yeah. One thing I do like is, well, I kind of like, I like the premise, but again, the execution even is kind of suspect for me. I love the premise of, I always give the MCU credit for being very real. Like, as fantastical as it ends up getting, especially early phase 2 or up until pretty much Guardians, honestly, every movie up until about Guardians of the Galaxy, they feel very real in their own ways. I love that we got Tony Stark dealing with PTSD from Avengers. Like, I love that. Like, that is awesome. Like, you think of these superheroes as gods essentially, but seeing a very human struggle and a very real struggle that would probably happen to somebody if that was in a real situation. That's awesome. And I loved that premise going into it. Some parts I'm like, okay, like I like the execution. There are other parts where I'm like, I don't think they handled that the best way. Again, obviously we'll dive into some stuff as we get into it. I really liked that aspect of it. And I always do give the MCU props and Iron Man 3 props for that. And I do love the seeds that we get, and you guys know what I'm talking about, the seeds that we get for that we didn't know at the time for Civil War. That is awesome. Like, when you go back and watch, Civil War adds to this movie a little bit. This movie got a little better for me. I remember when I first watched Civil War, and then going back and watching this, and again, even a little bit obviously after Endgame and Infinity War too. Got a little bit better. Not tremendously, a little bit.
Just a little bit. Hey, we'll take it. So the movie came out just about a year after the Avengers, this monumental event in cinema, in bringing all these fans to the theater for the first time, such as myself, for a superhero collaboration like that. May 3rd, 2013, I believe. John, you want to run through some of the pretty nice box office numbers that this did?
Yeah, we did 1.2 billion in the box office. Billion, so falling just short of Avengers at 1.5 billion. Iron Man 3 did 1.2 for a movie with one superhero in it. Pretty good, especially for 2013.
Yeah, for sure.
You combine the tidal wave of coming off of Avengers and Robert Downey Jr., you combine 2 + 2 = 4.
Yeah. This
movie was gonna do amazing.
And the fact that it's a great movie just holds up.
It just cemented it further into history, for sure. You guys, I can't even take. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Rashawn and John, do we want to cue up the trailer?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm most interested in this trailer out of any trailer we've watched. Not that the other ones I wasn't, but this one, because I remember this being good, if this is the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
It matches the movie. That's wonderful.
Exactly.
Okay.
Cool. You guys got it up?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Feel free to go ahead and play it.
Got a lot of apologies to make. Nothing's been the same since New York. You experience things, and then they're over. I can't sleep. And when I do, I have nightmares. Honestly, there's 100 people who want to kill me. I hope I can protect the one thing I can't live without.
me a terrorist? I consider myself a teacher. Lesson number 1. Heroes. There is no such thing.
Man, I just want to watch it again.
I want to watch the movie again.
That's what I'm saying. I just want to watch that movie again. There's just so much good in there. And I guess I'm just gonna go back to that point where Sean was just talking about. Like, I watched that trailer, and for me, like that, I don't remember if I'm sure I saw the trailer before this movie came out, but I don't remember my reaction. To me, that's a boring villain, and I'm glad that it changed. Like that, it's just I'm getting this generic terrorist who just wants to kill Tony Stark because he's a superhero. There's no roots there. There's nothing creative about it. He has no roots in the MCU. There's nothing. Just I don't know. I think that people's biggest gripe with the movie and that twist and switching over, I think, is one of my favorite parts about it.
Rashawn, you like the trailer, right?
I love that trailer. That trailer is better than the movie.
That's the tone I get from the whole movie. Like, I literally just watched that trailer, and it just feels like literally the whole time I felt during that movie. I think that's the thing that this movie nails is tone. Like, it's just so, I don't know. Iron Man is in a spot he never has been before. He's desperate. He has PTSD. He's in the snow, which is awesome.
So if you can I could describe Iron Man 3 in many ways. And if you could choose one word to describe it tonally after seeing the movie and looking back at that trailer, what is that word you would choose to describe it? For me, it's dark. Even though I think it's hilarious and it's got its moments all throughout that are kind of this roller coaster, I think it's actually pretty dark. What would you guys say if you had one word to describe it?
Yeah, I think I might agree with you. I was going to go towards like a darker, maybe like even like a blue type movie. Like dark seems like it might be a little too one step too far for what I'd describe it as, but like just blue. I mean, Tony is just in a different spot, and it's very obvious, and that's the tone that movie carried the whole way through for me.
Rashawn.
The only word that I can think of is mediocre. I can't deny what my heart feels, but that's the only thing I can think of is mediocre. It just for me, it doesn't hit. I wish it did. It's not like I want to hate the movie. I wish it hit the points that you guys are talking about for me.
Yeah.
I just don't get that when I watch. Again, it's a snooze fest. Again, we won't beat the dead horse too much, but the bait and switch, and to your point about how you thought the actor was going to be like what we got with that was going to be boring. What is I keep forgetting his name, but what is that what we got? What is that?
Yeah.
That was not entertaining
Killian.
to me.
I certainly don't think Killian's one of the best villains. I think he's very, very middle of the road, but I remember liking that they kind of went out there a little bit in terms of comic book villains and were giving us some very comic booky stuff. The one thing I did think was too far and I rolled was when he breathed fire. I did not like that. I thought that was one step too far when he actually literally breathed fire. Loved Rhodey's line after, "Oh, you breathe fire." Okay, like that was great timing, great comedy, but
that's your thing.
No, yeah, that's your thing. Yeah, I didn't. I wish they didn't go that far with it, but the fact that they could, use this extremis and get themselves all hot and cut through the armor and stuff like that, I thought it was cool. And I remember being like, okay, they're doing it. They're going. This is a grounded universe, but they're getting a little weird with it. We're going comic booky. I liked it.
And the thing, and the Pepper Potts thing at the end that goes nowhere. She has this cool moment, and then it just doesn't go anywhere. It
further cements that Pepper Potts is just a trash character, but I mean, I didn't think that was anything different than I've seen from her and for the rest of the movies.
I mean, we get to see her in the armor in Endgame for what it's worth. And
Yeah.
I mean, how much did you really want from
Right.
it? I guess. I don't know.
But why is it like I would ask Shane Black why? What like
I mean,
why bother? If people like John think she's a trash character, and obviously I give credit for them for mapping a lot of the things. I don't know if they had an Endgame Pepper Potts going to be an Iron Man suit,
No.
but it just doesn't need. It doesn't need to be there.
To me, it makes a lot of sense. I don't think that, like, I never for a second thought that they were setting up her as a character that was going to have any kind of powers. I think it just made perfect sense. They were doing this experiment on her.
No, I didn't either. And that's kind of my point. Like, who is that scene for?
Her character for Tony's redemption. I mean, I guess none of us probably thought that she was actually dead, but like the fact that she was being pumped in with extremis makes sense that she would survive it and have some powers. Like, didn't miss for me.
I mean, they say it in the movie that basically they gave him a reason to want to pursue them, right? Like by kidnapping her. So they kind of come out right with that, I think.
Yes, the motivation that Tony got from that, of course. It's just, I know it sounds small, but these small things add up. Just why? I just don't get it. I don't understand. So if it's for her character, you can't say that scene was for her character because it went nowhere. And then if it was put in there just as like I just don't understand why that was in the movie.
I guess I just don't see her.
It doesn't do anything, and it doesn't further the MCU. Like anytime in the MCU when there's something like that, a little hint or a little flash, there's always a payoff for that character later on. There's no payoff or reasoning for that. It's just, hey, Shane Black just woke up one day. Oh, I think Pepper would be cool doing this. Let's have her do it.
I don't know. I think it served the plot of this movie.
I don't know.
The way it was supposed to. I think it was written specifically for this movie, and it was a small moment, but it worked, and it was the end to the final battle. I don't know.
It kind of put a bow on this trilogy, if you will, and it was relatively self-contained.
I wonder if they knew this was going to be the last Iron Man when they.
Oh yeah.
There's always been rumors that they tried to start it out with Jon Favreau again, but it's never.
I think the final monologue that Tony has, I think just the tone of the movie in general, the theme of the movie, that it's about moving past what he's built up and has become toxic to him. I feel like it was pretty clear that this was supposed to be the last Iron Man. I mean, it's Hollywood. Who knows? Someone could ask for another one and someone would have written a check, but it felt like it was supposed to be the last Iron Man.
I think from a contractual standpoint, that was clear. Then they wanted to leave themselves enough room because they had these massive movie deals, right? 7, 8, 9 films. And they probably wanted to leave that open and not run an Iron Man 4, but leave room for the Avengers movies that were going to come after. And not to mention him coming into Civil War as prominently as he did. So that definitely all played into it. Hey, we can only use him 4 more times. How do we want to use him? Do we want to do another solo movie or build him up here? I think that, in my head, that all came into play. I mean, granted, I would have loved an Iron Man movie. Who wouldn't?
Another thing for me that gets me about this movie, well, I guess one of my notes too, is that everything having to do with what was that kid's name? I forget his name.
Harley. One of the two.
Yeah.
Also,
he doesn't do anything for me. Even when he showed up in Endgame, I'm like, there's a reason why no one knew who that kid was.
I feel like he was almost a force. I know this was ahead of the game, and it wasn't behind the scenes yet, but I feel like there was still a foreshadowing to what Spider-Man was going to be for him. Whether intentional or not.
I think it was unintentional. Like, I think when people say that, that's a reach, but that works to this movie's detriment because I see what Tony is like with a child figure, because Peter Parker's obviously a high school kid. I don't know how old this kid was supposed to be. He's obviously younger than high school, I would believe. But I see that dynamic, and maybe just because Tom Holland's a great actor, maybe that's part of it. And maybe because I know it's Spider-Man, not just some random kid, but I see that dynamic, and it works. It's good. This one is kind of just like another one of those things where I won't say like, why is this in the movie? Because it's clear why it's in the movie. I won't go that far because I've seen some people say like, oh, why is it even in the movie? Like, I get it, but it's just, again, from an execution standpoint, from a writing standpoint, that relationship does nothing for me. One of my original complaints was short term. It did nothing. Like, that didn't really do much post Iron Man 3, but in fairness to them, they got stuff going with Spider-Man and Peter Parker. So that's not necessarily a negative I'll have, but just for context of this movie, their relationship is another one that does nothing for me. Once he lands in that snow, that's when the eyes start getting heavy, man, and it's tough to stay awake.
Tennessee is my favorite part of the movie. Everything that happens in Tennessee, the tone, I'm a big fan of scenery. I love the snow vibe that we're very used to. Tony Stark, Iron Man in Malibu, California, or in the Middle East, sand and sunny. Thought it was very, very cool. Fit this movie very well, and I love that relationship, man. I think it is so cool. I love their little clips back and forth. I thought he was great. His name is Ty Simpkins. I just looked it up. It was Harley Keiner. Man, I really like that character. I just not much for me to say. I like everything in this movie for the most part.
And I've seen that kid in other stuff, by the way. He's not a bad actor by any means. So that's another reason I'm like, again, maybe it was the writing for me. Again, whatever John said, I feel the opposite. Clearly.
I feel like everything in this movie, especially the things we're complaining about with Pepper and then with Harley, actually all tie back to the growth of the character for Tony Stark, whether that's just one step on his journey or just how he views people close to him. I think that all plays a factor. We all saw this in theaters, right? I imagine.
Yep.
We were well entrenched at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So this was probably the first one where it was like a family outing for us. Like my whole family and friends would go to movies from here on out in the MCU. This was one that we could not wait for post Avengers. Overall, how many times do you think you guys would estimate that you've seen this movie?
I mean, north of 10 for sure. In completion. Dozens.
Yeah, I'm easily there.
Yeah, dozens if it counts just tossing it on in the background.
For me, it would have to be between 5 and 7.
I'm gonna watch this movie.
This is where my numbers start dropping a little bit.
I might have it on in the background when I'm editing Walking Carpet.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a nice conversation that may possibly stems from this. I do have some notes that I want to get to. I'm sure you guys will as well. But favorite non-title character / performance in this. Does anyone want to go first on this?
Sure. I'll go first. Harley. Thought he was awesome. I loved everything in Tennessee. I thought that dynamic was great. Really cool to see the way Tony needed him, like the way he was dependent on somebody who was a child, just the relationship. And I don't know. I thought that was the standout for me.
Rashawn, who you got? If you could find it in your heart,
I'm not even exaggerating. You got to come back to me. Give me like 2 minutes.
This may be surprising. So I really enjoyed Harley. I may have gone with that, but for the sake of switching it up, I really liked Ben Kingsley as Trevor, aka the Mandarin. So we did at one point have someone in the Geekiverse named Trevor White. Hopefully you're doing well watching it or listening to this. And we nicknamed him the Mandarin, if for no other reason that his name was Trevor. So I love the 180 we see from a performance standpoint from Ben Kingsley. How intense he can be, how just stone-faced he can be as the master, right? And when it is discovered that he is nothing more than basically a crackhead actor that needed help, I lose my mind every single time. When he falls asleep, when he's being basically interrogated by them, he dozes off. It never fails that I laugh.
So funny.
I think so much of that sequence is so funny. Did he just fall asleep? Like it's priceless.
He just picks right back up in mid-sentence.
Yeah. And he screams when he's watching the soccer game.
Starts
and they're holding guns
chanting
Olay.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That part is funny. I'll admit
him even like at a smaller humor level, like he's like, I would not go in that bathroom for 20 minutes. When the girls are shooed out, they go in there and they start freaking out. They're like, oh, gross.
Yeah. That's I'm with you there.
That role.
Big fan of that performance as well. One thing I wanted to mention while we're on other characters, this was the first time that I realized that in the opening scene, Yinsen was at the party that Tony was at. Yinsen from Iron Man 1.
This is the first time you saw this?
That's the first time I
That you
noticed
realized
that.
it?
Yep. I've never noticed that before.
Oh.
Yeah. Never realized that was Yinsen, because I definitely remember that line that Yinsen says to Tony when they first met, that we met before, and and he's like, I don't remember. You wouldn't. You were drunk. I had no idea that happened right at the beginning of this movie until literally last night when I watched it and finished it this morning.
Can you believe all the characters that they tied back? Like Jensen, that one, the one guy that appears in Spider-Man Homecoming that like worked for Stark that gets yelled at by Jeff Bridges.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those really
Wow,
minute
yeah.
secondary characters that they bring. I love that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
so
forgot
awesome.
about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in Far From Home.
They Far From Home, yes. I said Homecoming. I think they did a really nice job with that all the way throughout the MCU. Rashawn, what do you got? You got anyone or no?
I have one. And I had to pull strings here. He doesn't get enough credit for the work he did before. Obviously, he got I would say a legit character, but man, Paul Bettany's voice as Jarvis is amazing. That man did a lot of he made Jarvis, for me at least,
Rashawn,
let's spoil whatever.
I lost you guys for a second. You guys did a little hiccup.
Oh, okay.
Recording is still good. Don't have to stop or anything like that. Nothing was broken. But right as you started talking about Jarvis, you froze.
Okay, so you want me to just start from there?
Just start talking about Jarvis again.
I'll start from the top.
Yep.
So yeah, I would say my character is it's like trying to find a needle in the haystack to find good characters in this movie. But I would say I will give credit to someone that's kind of underrated. I'll give credit to Paul Bettany, man. Paul Bettany's voice as Jarvis throughout Iron Man 1, 2, and still 3 in Avengers, everything. I love him as Jarvis. He made Jarvis feel like a character, despite him just being an AI. Obviously we get more with Paul Bettany later on, but this was his last full movie as the Jarvis character, like a full, like just Jarvis from start to finish. So I always respect his voice and the fact that, he made Jarvis feel like a character, despite it could just be an afterthought. But you hear that voice pop up, in Iron Man 1, 2, and 3 are like, oh yeah, Paul Bettany. And then,
it's perfect. It's like, it's got like that perfect like butler tone, but there's also that sarcastic,
Yes.
like, I'm working for you, but I'm also like, I know what's going on here. Like, very good.
100%.
Yeah, he that's a great way to put it, Rashawn. Like he really made himself into a character before even like being in the flesh, as we get in Age of Ultron.
And honestly, maybe that's a reason why they let him continue on with that. They could have easily put anybody else in that role later on as Vision. They could have easily whatever, his voice is different and it's a different actor. Like, I think that shows a lot about Paul Bettany leading up to that moment too.
Yeah, it's that's a really good character to pick there, and I can't wait to see WandaVision as soon as we get that, explore that character more alongside Scarlet Witch. Before we get to kind of the quote unquote that moment that sticks with you, or maybe a line or two from the movie, I do want to go through some of the bullet points that I had, just my own personal notes, unless either of you want to go first on yours, if you have them.
All you.
Okay.
That was pretty much it for me. Yeah.
Okay. So a few things we already mentioned. It's funny. The first bullet point I put Yinsen ! Happy's mullet. I think that's hysterical to see. 1999 Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau in this movie, despite not being really the guy behind it with Shane Black being there, it's a really good iteration of Happy Hogan.
He's great.
I love the whole security thing, that he's got this kind of like fake job. It's really a job, but it was almost to like make him happy
yeah.
Right? So the forehead of security line is my favorite.
It's so
just
good.
How he's like, I don't know how to flip the screen. It's like he's talking to his son, who's just like flip the screen.
Not a tech genius.
Exchange. All of that is great. I love that he makes people wear badges, and he always does this, right? He just the little tap right at his chest.
At the end of the movie, when he's looking at the nurse, he's like checking for her badge. It's so good.
What great acting that is!
Yeah,
Jon Favreau, great.
self-awareness. I love Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
He's got his eyes closed and he's
Like looking.
still kind of looking at her like he's
Yep.
hitting on her.
Where's
like,
the badge?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Man, Jon Favreau is so underappreciated, I feel like, when it comes to the MCU in general. Now we get to see his genius on Mandalorian with a new season on the way. It's just, I'm such a fan of his.
Me too.
He's so charismatic. That song. So John described the movie as blue, right? That's how the movie starts.
Yes.
As we flash back to 1999. I love it.
Just set the tone
It's in my head now.
perfectly. Yeah.
It really did. Tony says, let's see. Quote, well, you know who I am. Kind of referencing the I'm Iron Man quote, which of course has some clout later on, not just in the MCU, but in this movie we'll get to. I think he says, I am Iron Patriot after talking to Rhodey for the first time, but he's kind of like making fun of it. Like,
Yeah.
I am Iron Patriot.
When they're at the bar, yeah. Yep, that was fun.
Iron Patriot.
The dealing with post-traumatic stress of the Avengers, I put that it begins to humanize our heroes. And we all really everyone had their favorite after Avengers, I think. Like, you had maybe that one superhero of that group of the original 6 that you maybe gravitated towards. But with Iron Man 3 and some of the movies we saw after, it really did a really nice job of humanizing these characters and making us, it had a stranglehold on our hearts after this, leading all the way through Infinity War and Endgame. Because we don't have those emotional ties if we don't have these Phase 2 movies, I think. So we see Iron Man struggling deeply with what he just went through.
It that way.
In the way, like, John mentions him in Tennessee in the snow, like he has that panic attack. All of that, kudos to Robert Downey Jr., feels very, very real, to the point where you almost like got to get a hold of your own breath.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's struggling.
And he still finds an opportunity to build comedy into that when he's talking to the kid. Like, he still has those little quips like, you didn't mention New York and then you just spoke it, like literally just said it. Like, just those back and forth, like, really funny. But, still a very serious moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I would imagine that he would react that way. Like, it was to a T. It was just perfect. To kind of further that thread, we see what happens to Thor throughout the years, losing everybody that's close to him, especially as we get towards Endgame. He's dealing with that with his weight, right? Like, he's given up. He's become a drunk. That is a very serious thing, and it's addressed. Captain America losing Peggy Carter. Like, everyone's lost someone special to them. He lost someone that was arguably the most special to him, and he's got to live throughout that. And that is his purpose throughout just about everything that he does to getting to the end of Avengers Endgame. Bruce Banner as the Hulk, to continue this point on, admits in the Avengers that he tried to commit suicide. These are very serious topics, and they tackle them in a respectful way. But again, it makes all of them very human. Hawkeye, again, just to finish out with the first 6 Avengers here, has his family, loses them and loses everything and becomes Ronin as we get to Infinity War. And then Black Widow, which I cannot wait to get back into theaters for come November to see more of her kind of in-between story between her origin and the end of Endgame. We know very well from Age of Ultron some of the issues that she went through in really dark times before she became an Avenger, before she got this job, right? So I think this kind of was the start of all of it, and I really think that Marvel did all of it in a very tasteful way that maybe other franchises have not done.
That's a great point, man. All great points. Despite what I feel about this movie and even the next movie on our list, like, Phase 2 for me, I would definitely, I've always had those feelings, like, just again, despite me not liking this movie as a whole, like, again, humanizing Tony Stark. Thor: Dark World humanizes Thor as much as you can humanize a god. Same thing with Winter Soldier. And again, technically, Age of Ultron is still a Phase 2 movie. It's just the last one in Phase 2. That does a good job of humanizing Black Widow. Even without the Black Widow character, we'll talk more about that when we get to that movie. And again, the points that you made about Hawk are valid. Like, I think Phase 2, like, when you look at it, a little less than half of it is kind of a waste of time, in my opinion. But when you articulate it like that, though, yes, like, we cared about these characters so much. We cared about them before in phase 1. I think the love for the characters, like phase 1 for me was excitement. Phase 2, despite there's some rocky moments in there, I think that's where the love of the characters was formed because of what you articulated about every character got humanized and okay, these aren't just gods on a pedestal. They have weaknesses, they have families, they have X, Y, and Z. And now how do they overcome these Empire Strike Back moments, if you will, going into phase 3 and obviously to close it out, you know, with Endgame. That's an amazing point, Joe. I've always thought those things that you said, but I never thought of like this, like the humanizing arc, if you will. You know, it's probably a terrible name for it, but that's what it does, I think, for phase 2.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And I like phase 2 is like growth, right? Like we got the super excitement of we got most of their origins out of the way, and the Avengers, which was like at what we thought the time was peak excitement for a superhero movie. Little did we know what we'd be getting with Infinity War, and then on a new level with Endgame. But that's why I think we love all these characters to death, and that's why people were crying at the end of Infinity War and again at Endgame. It was all just so beautiful, storytelling at its finest to me.
I agree.
We talked about the Mandarin and the twist. Back in the restaurant, I almost spit my drink out last night because I forgot the line. Tony Stark says, "I loved you in A Christmas Story," by the way, to the little boy that's there.
So
I give up. That was the one. That is one piece of dialogue between them I like. That was funny. If you've ever seen Christmas Story, you probably don't know what he's talking about. But if you've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, like everyone, even if you haven't seen the movie, you know.
And that is such a Tony Stark joke too. I give their writing team credit for that. That is a true Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark. There's some other jokes in here that were like, you're doing too much. But that was a true to life. No matter what phase of the MCU you're in, he would have said that to him. Regard that's hilarious.
Wouldn't be surprised if that was almost ad libbed. It's just how hysterical he is. That's one of my favorite lines. I mentioned the panic attacks already. I don't know. So I always tie these back to video games just because that's, you know, we love video games, the three of us.
Mm-hmm.
So John, I don't know if you know this, but they're Aldrich Killian in the video game Lego The Avengers is voiced by Greg Miller.
Oh, okay.
Of kind of funny.
Wow.
Awesome. I know he's done stuff for the Lego games before, but I did not know he did that. That's cool.
That was his first video game voiceover. And cool. I remember playing it, not knowing that. And I was like, so you play through the movies basically. And it's a boss fight in a Lego game. And I'm like, that voice sounds super familiar. I bet you, and sure enough, I looked it up and it was Greg Miller. That's pretty awesome.
Shout out Greg Miller, first comic book, pick it up, Joker, 80th anniversary.
Awesome stuff.
Hey.
Tony, so I know we've got mixed feelings on Tony and Pepper in general, but I felt like they had some really nice exchanges in this movie. Like very well grounded. Their relationship was past the point of that flirtatious intro that we saw in the first few movies, and it felt like it was deeper than it had been.
Yeah.
This is the first movie besides Avengers where they're, the first Iron Man movie that they're legitimately in the relationship. It was always a build towards that in the first two, and with the flirtiness. But this one, it's a legitimate love affair between them.
I love the balance that like we get to see between like her running the company, him doing his PTSD, like going through his PTSD, and then still trying to find time for that relationship. I think that is the best part about I think the best part of the Tony and Pepper relationship comes in Iron Man 3 for sure.
I think this exchange that I'm referring to as well is when she comes home and Tony sends one of his suits to basically talk to her and greet her. And it's funny when he kind of accuses her of like kind of sort of flirting with Aldrich Killian. And I love when the suit just looks at her.
So
like it's kind of just, like it's lost its connection to Tony and just was like, what?
Yeah.
That whole sequence I actually think is great, especially when Tony right afterwards, this is big growth for him, admits that he's a piping hot mess. And then he needs her, and the way his voice is and the breathing again, just amazing acting there by RDJ.
Yes.
I put Chinese theater in LA. I only put that in there because we actually got to visit it when the Geekiverse went to LA for E3. I know it's a very famous site, but it was really cool to be able to walk right there. My heart drops every single time when Stark gives out his address to the media and basically has this moment of vulnerability and that insecurity, and he says basically, I just decided you died, and he's puffing out his chest, right, and he gives his home address. Oh yeah, I get goosebumps even talking about it. That is a dark moment in the movie for me.
It is, and you can even tell in the way he delivers that even he knows that he's bitten off more than he can chew. Like, he knows that, like, I'm going down a path that I wasn't sure that I was ready for, and we're all in right now, I guess.
The doorbell goes off, and he goes,
We're still at Ding Dong?
Ding Dong, come on, I just gave my address to a terrorist.
Well, the thing too is, and I referenced this early to start the episode as one of the things I truly do like about this movie, and that Civil War enhanced this, is that you get those things right there are the seeds to his position of how he feels, whether that be, and not just Civil War, I throw Age of Ultron in there too, because in my opinion, and we'll get to this with those movies, Civil War is just Avengers 2.5. That's really, if we're being honest, that's what that movie is. If you watch them consecutively, there's a connective tissue there. But you see Tony's stance on that, and even though this is something he articulated, again, humanizing these characters, you know, he realizes that the threats up there are much bigger than what one man or even a team of people can do. And in moments like this, again, he has PTSD from the first Avengers, from a battle in New York, from a bunch of, you know, drones, aliens that were there. Those weren't anything super crazy compared to some of the things that the Avengers have fight later on, killer robots and all these other things, advanced beings. So, you know, his position is basically like, listen, like, what if we're going through something to where, okay, sure, we have each other, but what if we're going through things that we can't be to the best of the ability, best of our ability? And then you even see that at the end, very similar to what we get a little bit at Age of Ultron, Tony's fully AI controlled suits. Again, that was kind of a precursor, little did we know at that time, to what he was trying to do in Age of Ultron, a suit of armor around the world. This movie, and to its credit, gives you all that context, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Is this a Christmas movie?
Heck yeah, it is.
Hell no.
Yeah, it is. No. Absolutely it is. There's Christmas music, there's snow, there's a tree, there's presents, there's Christmas story reference. Absolutely.
Agreed.
I'm not gonna fight y'all with that one. We just gonna move on and go to the next.
That's a pick your battles bullet point right there.
It is, but I'll be honest, like, joking aside,
it's a Christmas movie. That's my opinion.
But joking aside, like, when it's Christmas time, I do like feel like I want to watch this movie. It just
same.
It happens. I don't know.
It's the most Christmassy of the MCU, but like,
it's not a
Christmas movie. So, the crime scene recreation that we see Tony Stark doing, just a small point here, kind of reminded me of my time in the video game Heavy Rain, with how they basically were able to look at things and rewind and place certain heat signatures. Thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned Harley Keiner already. I gotta say, I did not know. He was the one person I didn't know when I was watching Endgame the first time that was him. I had to look it up after the movie. I was like, who is that? Everyone else I knew, but for some reason I could not peg him. Shane Black actually said that he represents in this movie the ghost of Christmas past. So that kind of answers the whole Christmas thing right there.
I guess so.
The score in more video game stuff here reminds me of Spider-Man PS4's musical score. Listen to the main strings musical number that you hear when Spider-Man jumps off like a skyscraper, and that is kind of similar to the main theme that we hear here in Iron Man. Just similar, it's coincidental. My favorite lines. So, quote, "You walked right into this one. I've dated hotter chicks than you." I love it when Tony Stark is facing off with that one inflamed girl. He says, she says a cheap trick and a cheesy one-liner, and he says, "Sweetheart, that could have been the name of my autobiography."
Like that a lot.
Like peak Tony Stark. Yeah. He also says to Pepper, "You're in a relationship with me. Everything will never be okay."
Yeah, that's good.
Pretty classic. I put that this is one of the funniest movies in the MCU. And I think to date, of all the movies we've seen so far, it's the funniest.
Oh, so far?
And it's probably because I love Tony Stark.
I think Iron Man. I think Avengers comes
Iron Man
close.
2
I think this is better.
Avengers.
I think this is funnier than Iron Man 2 by a long shot, but I think that Avengers is close. I think they're both like right there so far, at least.
I'd agree with that for sure. And I tried to think of it last night, and we'll have to save this conversation. But I was like, to me, like Thor Ragnarok stands out, and then Guardians, and I think this is kind of in that conversation. But again, we'll circle back. Let's see here. Oh, I said it was cool seeing Tony wreck people outside of his armor. So as he's kind of like breaking into that facility towards the middle of the game to where he thinks he's, I think, saving Pepper.
Yeah,
and that was kind of like a spy thriller section, and it was tongue in cheek. I think
I liked it. It showed that Tony is, at his heart, like they keep, pushing that message in this movie. He is a mechanic. He fixes stuff. He creates things. So let's go into Home Depot. Let's buy some stuff and let's make our own little makeshift suit to get this job done. It's cool. That's
right, and he shows that he's more than just the suit, which Cap brings up in Avengers.
Yeah,
he was the Equalizer before the Equalizer actually came out. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that with Denzel Washington.
I like that movie.
And he basically kills people in a Home Depot, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the guy that Tony Stark calls Ponytail Express is the same actor that is killed in Iron Man 2 by Ivan Banco in prison.
Oh,
just a little tidbit.
Oh, that's the double?
Yep, exactly. I love I feel like people might think this is really cheesy, but I still like it. I like the rescue scene when everybody is flying out of the airplane, like jettisoned to fall to their death.
Yeah.
I like how they kind of do the barrel monkeys thing. I don't know.
Me too.
I find that entertaining and a little bit triumphant.
That put, to that scene's credit, that was a good scene. That shows like, again, this stuff is obviously all fake, but that kind of puts Iron Man in a unique position. Like, what if a plane exploded or something happened and all these people are all over the place? How do you save them? I love when comic book movies do that, like answer like questions that you've always had or never thought to ask. Like, oh, that's how he would handle that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Two last points. Trevor on the red carpet as he's being escorted to prison, and he says he's in handcuffs. Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Like, it's hysterical. And then I did not know this, but I was reading up on the movie 2 nights ago, and Shane Black said at the end of the movie when he says, "I am Iron Man," which we know to be, of course, a very famous line for a number of reasons. He was supposed to originally say, "I am Tony Stark," but they changed it. Kind of interesting. So, because one of the premise of the movie was, does the man make the suit or does the suit make the man? So they were trying to find this, I guess, singularity almost. So
another thing I don't like before you go too far. The ending almost means nothing as well. He blew up all of his suits.
Ooh.
In this grand conquest, and while watching it, we knew that wasn't going to be the case. We knew he was going to come back.
It was very clear. He specifically says it's time to slim down, and he specifically says it's time to start over. It's the clean slate protocol. It is not, I'm giving up Iron Man. That's my least favorite criticism when people say like the ending has no consequences. He still has suits. How come he still has suits? He blew them all up. He very specifically says it's time to slim down on what I've been doing. He was addicted to making these suits. It was a literal problem, a way to cope with his PTSD. And he specifically says clean slate, specifically says that he's going to slim down on these. There was never a point where anybody was ever supposed to believe that he was done being Iron Man. Like, I've heard people bring that up too. Like, I that's the one complaint that I can't even rationalize because that's just not the message. I just don't see that.
Okay, you know what? I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. I'll admit that. I'll give you that one because I never bothered reading into that. I was just too busy focused on what I was seeing. Normally, I try to read into stuff sometimes too much. That one, I just took it at face value, like, oh my god! And then obviously, Age of Ultron. The first thing you see is this man in the damn suit. So I'll give you that one. John's right on that one point.
Fair play, Rashawn.
Rashawn, you are a gem.
Yeah, first time in 2 months. I can admit when I'm wrong. Not very often. Yeah, I'm not wrong often, but I'll give you that one.
Stan Lee's appearance, very, very small. He plays a judge at a beauty pageant. And then the post-credit scenes.
Just one, right?
Yeah, just one.
The banner.
We get the...
I like that.
I think that is a really, really good one.
Yeah, cool.
It ranks high on my list. I love that he falls asleep and he's like, I'm not that kind of doctor.
Yeah, that was
And then you realize that he was telling the story to him the whole time. You know,
somewhere elevator in Switzerland or something like that.
Yeah, it's that's a really good one, I think.
Same.
Any notes that we didn't cover before we get on to that moment?
No.
All right. So what is that moment of the movie for you? Is there any one moment or any one line that kind of grips you, is most memorable to you? I don't know if anything comes to mind. John, why don't we start with you if you've got one or two?
Yeah, it's even just a small thing. It's not like thematic for the movie. It's not a big moment, but something I just really enjoyed to see, like, oh, that could happen. And especially the way he's tinkering with these suits and how intrinsic they are to who he is. When the suit attacks Pepper when he's having a nightmare was one of those things like, oh my god, he can subconsciously control this suit, and that is super dangerous. That is super bad for the relationship. Like, and that's where he's at right now. That moment always sticks out with me. It's almost like a horror movie. Like, he's having this this nightmare,
Yes.
then all of a sudden, like, there's just an Iron Man suit hovering over Pepper. That moment always gets me. Like, man, this is like you said, this is dark.
Can you imagine waking up to that? Like, I would freak the F out.
Yeah.
That is
especially when Tony's still laying next to you. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's a great moment, John. I love when he wakes up and kind of realizes what's going on. I love that he also shows that he can, like, basically destroy the armor or disassemble it.
Yeah, and the way he starts to, like, ranting, like, oh, this shouldn't happen, it's a bug or whatever, I'm gonna fix it. Like, he's very panicky. I didn't like her reaction to that. Like, the scene prior, he had just, like, admitted he's going through PTSD and, like, he's been keeping this from her. And his first slip up or his first, like, issue, she just goes and sleeps on the couch. Like, I don't think that's a great move.
I don't like that either.
That bothered me.
I think also, like, it's, first of all, it's not very supportive
Yeah.
of, like, his partner. And second of all, my thought with all of that is I would want to stay as close to him as possible, because if it were to happen again, like, she's dead.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's gonna tear a limb off or something crazy.
Sure. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think that's a weird one too. I agree with that, John. Rashawn, we know you don't love the movie. Anything that you enjoyed, particularly one moment, anything like that?
In terms of moment, I would say one thing that's always funny and cool to see, because I think the action sequence is pretty cool that we get from it. I love when the media is asking him the questions in the beginning about the Mandarin or whatnot, or the terrorist, and then he gives out his address. He's like, all right, he does that tough guy thing that a lot of people do. Like, this is something to do in real life. Yeah, all right, you do blah 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 blah. Here's my address, and in your head you're doing that. This person ain't gonna go to my house and do nothing to me. What are you gonna do? I'll give you my address. I don't care. And then this dude actually came to his house and blew it up. Well, he didn't go there, but you get my point. He actually did something about it. And I that whole choreography with everything, just, again, whether the explosions and him trying to defend as much as he can, especially coming after he's saying he's trying to protect Pepper. Pepper's trying to do all these things. I can't protect you from out there. He's thinking about, again, he's going crazy. He's thinking about all these things. And again, all of that, I would say, from that moment where he plays like that social media tough guy to his his Malibu house demise or whatever, that was a pretty cool exchanges and sequences.
It's intense, and I mentioned a lot of times how RDJ made me lose my breath because he's having these panic attacks. He's breathing real quick. I struggle when he's underwater there because I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna drown. And then his suit kind of saves him, which is nice. I think I mentioned pretty much all of the moments that I really enjoyed in the movie and thought were funny or important lines or moments. There's one kind of that I forgot until I was watching last night, but there's a moment when they're at the oil refinery or in that shipyard, and Tony and Rhodey are next to each other, and Rhodey basically wants him to look ahead, and Tony gets up real quick and gets back down. He goes, "What do you see?" He's like, "I went too fast."
Nothing, too fast.
It was hysterical.
I love
and then he tells
that,
Rhodey, he says like he can't hit something from a certain distance, and Rhodey just goes and shoots it and looks at him.
Yep.
Like, those guys had really, really nice chemistry, and this was a nice point to all of that.
The conversation about the ammo. He's like, "Do you have any ammo?" I'm all out. He's like, "They're not universal. I don't have one for that clip." He's like, "I know you got ammo," and there's like, "It doesn't fit that gun. What do you do?" Like? It shows that like is war torn as Iron Man is, but he does that all in a suit, and he doesn't really know what a regular gun's all about.
Right, because you see it in the movies, right? Like they never run out of ammo, or they always have a clip to refill. So he just kind of thinking that is kind of hilariously naive. All right, guys, I think we're almost to that point here. We're gonna rank these in a moment. I'm really excited to see where this goes. We do want to give another just quick shout out. Fantastic is the presenting sponsor of the show, as well as the entire series, the MCU Reviewed. They do wonderful things for people, especially in the Western New York area, which is where the Geekiverse is located. So go to 26shirts.com/Fantastic. Check out their different brands. But with Fantastic specifically, they sell pop culture themed t-shirts and hoodies. And actually onesies from time to time as well. Get your hands on those. Every purchase sees a large percentage of that going to a person in need, a family in need, an organization in need, a charity, someone that is in dire need of that. 26 Shirts has raised over $750,000 to date since their inception. We want to help them get to $1 million because that money is going directly to those aforementioned individuals. So, we think we're going to get into some rankings here. As I made a prediction early in the show, I think this is the first one where all three of us would have this specifically ranked differently. What I'd like you to do, if you're watching or listening, go to facebook.com/thegeekiverse or hit us up on Twitter and give us your rankings, just like Elida did. So her rankings as it stands now are Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man 2, and the Incredible Hulk. Notably, she's got a space between Iron Man 2 and Hulk. So be like Elida. Go like, comment, and share on that. John, I'm going to... Those are yours to a T, Rashawn?
Those are mine to a T. Sis has taste. Elida, you know how to rank the MCU.
I mean, it's nice. It's wrong, but it's nice.
It's a ranking.
And we love Elida. We love Rashawn too, but that's not the point here.
Yeah.
John, I'm going to pass it off to you.
I thought you were going to say that's just not right. I didn't think you were going to say that's not the point. I thought you were going to say, but that's just not right.
I mean, it's certainly not the ranking that we've all come to agree upon together. With
depending on the day, I'll flip-flop Iron Man 2 and Thor, but I think more times than not.
Gosh.
I mean, I think this is a pretty flawless system, and we all obviously agree that the ranking is the way it is. Everyone can see it now. The current ranking for the MCU Reviewed, we have the Avengers number 1, Iron Man at number 2, Iron Man 2 at number 3, Captain America, the First Avenger at number 4, Thor at 5, The Incredible Hulk 6. So we're sitting pretty there. Rashawn, regardless of your other ranking, that is the ranking now. Where would you put Iron Man 3 in that ranking?
And for our rankings, it's not better than Cap. So
you would put it behind Iron Man 2?
Yes.
Okay, so between Cap and Iron Man 2.
Wait, no, you said it's not better than Cap.
Wait, didn't you say go?
You said it's not better than Cap. Sorry, I thought you said it's better than Cap. My bad.
So Sean would have Cap, Iron Man 3, Thor, Hulk. Right?
Yep, yeah. That's what he would have. Yeah, he would have Cap at 4. He would have Iron Man 3 at 5. Then Thor. Then Hulk. That's what you would have.
No, bump that. Thor is better than Iron Man 3.
Oh my god!
Then you can leave it above Iron Man.
It's kind of irrelevant.
Above Hulk.
Oh, it is. I just wanted to get a starting point. You think Thor is better than Iron Man 3? The first Thor movie. It's good. Like, it's good. We had fun with it, but like, it's not Iron Man, dude. Like that, man.
And it's definitely not Iron Man 3.
Depending on the day, I'm being nice. It might be worse than the Incredible Hulk.
Dude,
it might be.
this
Last watch for the Hulk kind of took it down a few notches because it's kind of just there. But depending on the day that you ask me, I would probably say it's worse.
I'm starting to.
It might be the worst. It is probably the worst.
Soap and wash your mouth out.
I am
man.
legitimately starting to question your taste and if I respect your opinions anymore. The Incredible Hulk is a borderline bad movie. Like there is not much I enjoy in that movie when I sit down and watch it. Iron Man 3 is worse than that. You're insane.
Yeah.
Okay. So John,
I think the first one was really good.
Let's just figure out how high Iron Man 3 can fly. Here.
Exactly. It comes down to us. Rashawn starts it at. I'm just gonna ignore the.
I'm apparently the Mandarin. I'm the Mandarin.
I'm gonna ignore the.
You are because you're a clown.
Exactly.
Right, go one by one, John. Let's do it.
So I'm gonna ignore the Incredible Hulk because that's not true. It's not how he really feels. He's just riled up right now. Do you think it's Josiah? Do you think it's better than Thor?
I do.
As do I. Captain America.
Yep.
As well.
Oh
Iron Man 2.
Yep.
So do I. Do you think it's better than Iron Man 1?
I do.
What? No.
I don't.
Josiah, you're gonna make me walk out of my room right now.
See?
I'm just gonna have to turn. I'm gonna have to turn this off.
Wow.
Do it. You won't. My prediction was correct.
It was correct.
I think it's. Yeah.
You realize that at the time of release, I understand that this was the second best grossing movie of the MCU. That does not mean that it's the second
movie in the MCU to date.
Wow.
So just so everyone knows, I would not put it above Avengers in case you were wondering. But I would have Iron Man 3, 2, and 1. But again,
you would put 2 over. I forgot about that.
I would. Yeah, I love all the Iron Man movies. I'm not saying that as
you think the first
quality.
Iron Man is the worst Iron Man.
Yes, which is saying a lot.
Wow. It is.
Because I love it.
All right. Well, you don't win in that argument because I don't agree that Iron Man 3 is better than Iron Man 1. I will tell you after this rewatch, it's the closest it's ever been in my mind. Did I think about it? Sure did.
When we do this next time, I think I'm going to get John there. Really, all I did was I served as a plot device to help John get Iron Man 3 where he wanted it on this list.
Exactly.
That's it. So that's the only purpose of me on the show.
Wait, I was just so distraught and in another world based on what Joe said. Where are we putting? Where's your thing, John?
I topped out after Iron Man 2. I think Iron Man 3 is better than 2. I like it a lot better. So the official ranking for the MCU Reviewed, since we didn't agree after that, is number 1 Avengers, number 2 Iron Man, number 3 Iron Man 3, number 4 Iron Man 2, number 5 Captain America: The First Avenger, number 6 Thor, number 7 The Incredible Hulk.
Guys, what did I tell you? I told you this was the week. This was the one that it would get interesting. So we'll have a little bit of a downer next week, but this was pretty good.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, Rashawn, there you go.
You got 3 snaps.
Would you, Rashawn? So you would have, yeah, absolutely. Use it. Use a snap.
Your snap.
Wait, so I would have to. It would have to be. I'm sorry. I gotta get these in front of me.
So it would go if you won.
Yes.
It would drop below Iron Man 2. That's as far as it can fall.
Yeah,
yes, John?
You would flip 2 and 3 right now. If that's what you wanted. If you think we're crazy for putting Iron Man 3 ahead of Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Then you use a snap.
Because in my opinion, each Iron Man movie gets worse as you go along.
You're using a snap. We got one.
Snapping.
We got
the first snap. This is blasphemous. This is some highway robbery, and this is what I was waiting for. I knew that's why I didn't use it on Cap because I knew this one was going to be a highway robbery.
I gotta say
that I gotta come on here and look at this man. Look at this man, Jose. I thought John Vick was bad. This man came on here. I can't say live television on a pre-recorded show and said that Iron Man 3 at the time of 2013 was the second best movie in the MCU, ahead of the first Iron Man, ahead of Captain America.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
those are the two that
definitely.
I'm really passionate about. Again,
God.
Thor, fine, take it or leave it. Hulk, take it or leave it. But this is some criminal stuff.
Rashawn, if you're gonna use a snap, I gotta actually see a snap, my friend, or else it doesn't count.
I did it like 5 times. Let's go.
Got it. Well, I needed to sync up
all 3 actually, so he's gonna get it as low as he possibly can.
They're all gone.
So Rashawn, I think you've got actually a really good shot at this because John and I are in the
know I do.
minority. I'm
is
in the
insane.
vast minority in where I rank it.
Yeah.
This is insane.
I get hate for it all the time. Like people get mad at me for it, and I don't care. I love it. I'll tell you this right now: Iron Man 3. So I can see the argument when we get to the Iron Man movies. That's fine. Toss them all in a blender. You go where you want with them. They're not better than Avengers. They're all different levels of where I have them. It's definitively better than Incredible Hulk and Thor. And I will double definitively say it's better than Captain America, the first Avenger.
Me too.
Oh my God.
I think it's just like the three Iron Man movies I think stand in a league above Incredible Hulk, Thor, and Captain America. I just think that trilogy just as a whole, there's just so much in there. There's just so much heart with Tony Stark. They're just all
wait
better.
a minute.
Easily.
Wait a minute.
Not close.
I know we're technically not here yet. Maybe this is, if you want to save this for later, that's fine. You do not have to answer because I already blew up once. Are y'all guys trying to say that this is the best trilogy within the MCU? Avengers don't count. Avengers doesn't count. Solo movies.
Trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Easily.
best trilogy
Yeah.
By far.
easily.
Not easily. Okay,
No,
hang
it's
on.
not easily. Cap's good.
But
Cap
I'll say
one,
this.
it brings it down a lot for me.
If we would say that the Captain America trilogy is better,
That's really
all
good.
I'm saying is Iron Man really makes that possible because of Civil War.
That's
Just saying.
true, but it doesn't.
So
not
it's a
fair.
win-win.
All right.
Oh,
so,
it's totally fair.
so
Ladies
so
and gentlemen,
we're using a snap right now. So Rashawn's got
Yeah.
the snap. It's gone. I'm gonna put the tweet out there now. I'm doing a 7-day poll. We get 1 week for people to vote on this. Now,
Get on Twitter.
which movie is better is what I'm putting. I have a poll: Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. I'm going to do hashtag MCU, hashtag Iron Man, hashtag Iron Man 2 and 3. I'm going to give you 3 hashtags.
Do we want to do 7 days? I know this is a logistics thing, but I'm only asking because what if we record the next episode before 7 days is up?
I was
care?
I was
or no?
going to say that we had to make sure we do the next episode at least Thursday or beyond. So we could do it for we can make it less if you want.
5 days.
We can just do
My
okay.
opinion. If Rashawn's cool with it, because
Yeah, five days.
snap,
Yeah, that's fine.
I would say 5 days.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
We'll make it the new standard. It is the
Yeah.
standard. This is the first one, so they will always be 5 days.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just to make sure, no
5
matter
days,
what,
okay.
we record the next one after this poll has come to an end. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
that's fine.
Oh my gosh.
So,
we got our
Rashawn,
first snap.
You're gonna want to interact with this. Tweet it. Tag whoever you want. Try to get some famous people involved if you want to get this thing going. But the tweet.
This is insane.
Listen, I've been largely absent from Twitter. I am going to be on Twitter campaigning the opposite way. And you know what? Actually, maybe I won't. Maybe I don't want to call attention to this because I think that the majority will agree with Rashawn.
Yeah.
So I'm going to find a way to bury this.
I mean, you have the login. You can just delete the poll.
That's what I was going to say next, but that's no fun.
No, it's not. This is
about
great.
fair.
I'm excited. Which movie is better? Hashtag MCU. Hashtag Iron Man. Hashtag Iron Man 2. Hashtag Iron Man 3. Iron Man 2. Poll option. Iron
Rashawn,
Man
make
3.
it happen, man.
Boom. Tweeted.
This is your time to shine.
I'm not worried about it. This is getting changed. I have to look at you now for how many more weeks and know that you thought up until 2013, May 2013, that Iron Man 3 was the second best movie in the MCU.
And to this point,
I
it's still the best
but
Iron
forget
Man
Avengers
movie,
because no one thinks it's better than Avengers. You think that this was the best solo movie in the MCU at the time?
Yeah, I don't think it's that crazy. I really don't.
I don't either.
We gonna find out.
I think there's just there's a clear gap in quality once you get into the Iron Man stuff as opposed to Captain America, Thor, and Hulk. And
These were next level. These were AAA, and the other ones were.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything else.
I think there are B tier. I think there's 3 levels right now. Well, maybe 4 levels. There's Hulk. There's Thor, Captain America. They share a level. I think Iron Man shares a level of its own, and then Avengers has its own level. You got 4 different tiers.
Avengers raised the roof. It broke the barrier. That was it. And I think every Avengers movie did that. And I've got some things to say about that with the Cap movies as we get to them. But guys, that was
good.
That's just what we were hoping for. This is great. You know what? I think next week's just gonna be as divisive. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, next week. What are we watching next week?
Next week, I think is gonna be easy.
You know what?
We have an off week.
It's gonna be really easy, guys.
That
is what we're watching.
Ooh, that is sweet. Ooh.
I did, because at that time, it's like when what we talked about on Geeks Got Game, where at the beginning of a console generation, you release games that you may not do well mid-cycle. That's what Thor Dark World is to me.
Sure.
It was early enough in the MCU where I was like,
Sure.
I like this. Here we are today.
Now, to be fair about Thor Dark World, going into this rewatch, I have only seen this movie once. I've only seen Thor Dark World one time. That was last year in my MCU rewatch up to Avengers. That was my first time watching it last year. I remember being bored enough where I was super distracted, and I probably missed a lot because I really was distracted. So we'll see if my opinion changes at all.
I remember being so stoked about it because we were finally getting Loki again. I say finally.
Yeah, but that Avengers showing was pretty good.
It was. We'll see. If you're keeping up with us, you got about a week. Well, you have a week to watch Thor: The Dark World. I'm sorry, but you got to be authentic. You got to do this with us. All of us are actually watching Thor: The Dark World. It's happening.
We have to.
We've got to talk about it. It'll probably be a shorter episode, but we're gonna get to it.
Maybe not.
Yeah, what do I know? Who knows? Dell, it's funny, specifically said this was the week he wanted to skip was Thor: The Dark World. He's like, you know what? Don't call me for that one.
Can I volunteer for that too?
Oh my god!
Nope, you got to do it, John. You have to do it.
I'm not feeling
Rashawn,
well all of next week.
Oh, that's a shame. You're going to be here. So we'll wrap this episode up of the MCU Reviewed. We had a lot of fun. We hope you're having just as much fun listening and watching our discussion. Yeah, we did, Rashawn. All of us. We did.
We decided together that's the current ranking. So I don't really understand what your quarrel is because
I also said at the very beginning that it was non-divisive. So I don't understand why we're all getting bent out of shape here. It's ridiculous. So when we get to Geekiverse 7th anniversary next May, we're gonna have a lot of really good footage of Rashawn being like, "What?
Yep.
Are you serious? What?" I cannot wait to put that sizzle reel together. It's gonna be great.
My Lord.
Where can we find y'all on social media so we can interact with this poll and with each other regarding the MCU? And what can you plug for the greater good of the Geekiverse? We're gonna go to Rashawn first today. Rashawn, you did the snap. You get first honors.
Yeah, so you can find me here on I can't even concentrate. You can find me here on the Geekiverse weekly doing the MCU Reviewed. Despite, the shenanigans today, I have a lot of fun doing this show. This is awesome. I've always wanted to do this for reasons like this also. You can find me bi-weekly on our gaming podcast, Geeks Got Game. You can find me on our monthly Disney Plus podcast, Pluscast. And then outside of here, everything that we talk about with movies, games, all this stuff, find me right on Twitter, TrueKing0. I do all of this stuff just in Twitter format. And then if you're into gaming and want to see some Twitch streams, catch me at TrueKing0 on there as well. Haven't streamed in about a week and a half, but there's stuff coming out. There's stuff that is going to be stealth dropping soon with all this gaming news that's going on. So we'll be ramping it up soon.
John, we just had a really fun episode of Geeks Got Game. Why don't you talk about that real quick?
Yeah, that was awesome. Today, the day we're recording this was the same day that the PS5 was revealed. So we just recorded an episode all about that. Spent a little over an hour talking about all of the nitty gritty, all the games and the console. So that was a fun episode. So definitely tune in for that one. That's certainly live by the time this is going up. You can find me on Twitter at Disruptoid. Same on Instagram. You're gonna see me trying to promote this poll. I'm gonna try to get some Iron Man 3 supporters to make Rashawn waste that. I'm just gonna be searching Iron Man 3, and I'm just gonna find people who I know like it based on hashtags, and I'm just gonna get their support. I'm just gonna campaign for it.
We need Shane Black.
If I have to pay for it, I will. I'll look for people. I'll Venmo. I don't care. I'll buy votes. I'm not above it. Not above it.
See, I'm not saying anything anymore. I have faith in people.
Not above it.
The people know. You guys even admit you're in the minority. I have the high ground, as Obi-Wan once said.
That is true. I did forget to mention that our Twitter is at @the_Geekiverse. By the time this goes live, you will still have time to vote in that poll. We're recording this on a Thursday. This goes live on a Monday. You'll have like a day and a half to be able to vote on that. So tell your friends, vote for Iron Man 3.
Listen, Iron Man 3, it's happening. As my friend Korg once said, the revolution has begun. It's happening. On Twitter and Instagram, I am at Josiah D. Leroy. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I don't know if I want to take the John approach, which I think is bold, or if I want to just stay out of it. But you can find me there, the Geekiverse. We've got a lot of really good stuff going on, including 2 new shirts in our online merch store. Go to the geekiverse.storeenvy.com to pick up our 6th anniversary limited edition t-shirt, as well as our brand new Marvel We Are Groot t-shirt. So those are available along with over 20 designs right now. In terms of shows, you can check me out on the shows that my friends Rashawn and John mentioned here. In addition, you can check out monthly Dadcast, which is for gaming fathers. If you like video games, you're a gaming father, this is the show for you. It's a lifestyle podcast dedicated to that dynamic. We have someone from Games Media that you may recognize who will be on our next episode, so you can check that out in just a few weeks. Also, Walking Carpet if you like Star Wars. On the last episode, myself and Brian talked all about Episode 9 Easter eggs. So if you enjoyed Rise of Skywalker, if you didn't enjoy Rise of Skywalker, I recommend that you tune into that. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, the clock is ticking. Go watch Thor: The Dark World. We can't wait. We can wait to talk about it. But we enjoy talking about everything MCU together. For Rashawn and John, I'm Josiah. This has been another wonderful week of the MCU Reviewed. We'll see you next week.